Hello, and welcome to Integrated Arts for Elementary Teachers. This is our your second rotation, and we are going to be covering theater and how theater can integrate into your classrooms after you guys graduate and you become educators and you are cultivating education and creativity through your curriculum. So I am going to start off by introducing myself. My name is Jalen Fennell. I have gotten my master's and my undergraduate degree here at Commerce, so I'm very familiar with the program. You can call me Jalen, you can call me Mrs. Fennell, you can call me Professor Fennell, whatever you're comfortable with. Again, you can just call me Jalen. That's perfectly fine with me. Our GA for this class is also Candace Brooks. She's awesome and amazing. So my name is there, and there's Candace's name and email. My email is right here in the syllabus, which is on D2L, and I'll show you how to navigate that a little bit better here in a second. My office location is PAC 100. We are meeting for class, or my office is PAC 108. We are meeting for class in PAC 100, and that is our main stage space. But again, like I said, in the announcement posting on D2L, they have a show that night. So we actually will not be able to meet in the space. But since I'm offering you guys extra credit to see the show, because seeing theater is also education, it just gives you the opportunity to see the show and get some extra credit for the course. So moving forward on the syllabus right here, again, that's my email. I'm an adjunct professor, so I'm part-time here at Commerce. And so I'm usually in the building before and after class. But I'm on maternity leave right now, so I'm not really going to be at the building until a few more weeks. But I will always get back with you via email. And if you need to meet with me via Zoom or in person, just let me know through email. When you email me to meet or to schedule a Zoom in person, whatever, just go ahead and give me your availability from the get-go if you need help with that, so that we can kind of schedule something sooner rather than later and kind of cut down on the back and forth a lot. That's always the most important and effective thing. Sorry if you hear my baby cry from time to time. Just keep going. So course information. There's no required textbook for this section. You're only using the textbook for the class as a whole. So the big one, Finding Creative, I can't remember the name of it right now off the top of my head, but the textbook that you're using for all 3 rotations is the only thing that you will be required to purchase. Obviously, you've probably already gotten it, which is great, but anything else that is given to you will be given to you through D2L. You need to have access to Microsoft Word, Google Docs, all of those things, Google Slides, PowerPoint, Prezi, all of that jazz, and our course description is that this course provides a survey of the fields of theater designed to provide an introductory knowledge of the phases of drama, performance, literature, and production procedures to apply in educational settings. And so the hope is that you'll be able to learn fundamental principles, vocabulary, and theories of Western theater. You'll be able to develop creativity capacities to apply in educational instruction through exercises, assignments, and discussions, and critically apply course materials to your own journey as educators. You're required to attend class and log into D2L weekly in order to complete assigned discussions, quizzes, and other assignments. I know we only meet once a week, but you have to log on to D2L multiple times a week for this class. It's very fast paced in each rotation. So please log on to D2L at least 2 to 3 times a week, if not once every day, just to make sure that you're caught up and that you're not missing anything. You must be able to navigate D2L and MyLeo and your processing software, as well as check your email. So the way this course is going to kind of flow is that you need to participate in all weekly assignments in order to receive full credit for participation that week. We'll have group discussions and 1 quiz. You'll have journal entries for you to write after class and through the week, just to kind of reflect on your journey and your thoughts and insights. You don't turn those in weekly to me. It'll be all at once again. At the end of this rotation. I'll go over that more here in a second. But those journal entries are just for you. I'm not going to go and read them and try to, see what specifically you said. I just want you to be able to experience the class, get information, contribute to discussions, and then reflect afterwards and see what you took away, positive, negative, and write it down as a progress tracking for you to come back to as an educator. But also, not only are you writing those personal entries, so there should be 5 in total, 1 per week, you're also going to have at least one section in your journal that is for resources for you. So you should have 5 personal entries after each class, tracking your thoughts and your reflections. And then you should have a section in your journal that has resources. That can be links to videos, it can be warm-ups, it can be insights that you've had in class, it can be personal research, it can be links from handouts that I give you on D2L, all of that jazz. It's just a resource for you to come back to and say, oh, what was that thing that we did in class that I really, really liked that I want to apply in class this week? Oh, I know what, I can't remember what it is, but I know where I can find it. It's in your journal that you kept up with. So you're getting a grade for it, but it's ultimately a resource for you to use in the future. Then you'll have your creative meetings with me. Again, they're not going to be super formal. It's very informal. It'll be during your rehearsal period during week 4, I believe, 3 or 4. And we will plan and prepare your project together. If you just do it, you get the credit for it. Again, it's very informal. And then you have your final project. Your final project is a performance of a scene of you and your team's choosing, accompanied by written script work. So I will cover that more in class later. But basically the scenes will consist of 2 to 5 students. I will split you guys up into groups. You should share the load and the roles equally, ensuring that there's a fair amount of work per student. The scene should be 5 to 10 minutes in length. Groups with more students should select or create pieces with a longer script. The goal is for you guys to have about the same amount of work. You don't want one person doing all of the work and everybody else doing minimal work. So last rotation, students asked, you obviously have to assign each other roles for these scenes. You can play one character, you can play multiple characters. You can use a script that you find on the internet. You can use a culmination of multiple scripts that you guys put together and cut. You can kind of adapt it with personal writings as well. I had one group that took a shorter script for Cinderella, but they wanted to give backstories to their characters to kind of like explain why their characters were the way they were. And so they wrote a little bit of the script themselves. That's totally cool. It's super innovative, super creative. You just have to have one script that you guys all decide on and approve before you move forward in performing and rehearsing. So like I said, you guys will choose a fairy tale. It can be a script you find on the internet. It can be a mixture of multiple scripts. It can be a mixture of a script and personal writings. Anything is fair game. But it must be 5 to 10 minutes. And you guys need to share the work. You can share roles, different things like that. I'll go over it more as we get closer, but be thinking of different fairy tales that you like so that you guys can suggest that to each other once you get your group assignments. Hopefully you guys will start talking about that this week after I tell you who is in which group. Late work is only accepted at the discretion of the instructor and only with appropriate documentation. You have to email me for approval. Again, communication. I can't help you if I don't understand the circumstances and know the circumstances. You don't have to give me all the nitty-gritty details, but you do. If you need help, you need to let me know because I can't help you if I don't know. So just communicate with me. Extra credit is provided at the discretion of the discretion of the instructor. Again, if you watch the productions at the university, I will give you extra credit. If you go and seek out watching other productions outside of the university, I can give you extra credit for that as well. Just let me know. I'll show you all the portals and information on D2L here in a second after we cover the syllabus. So the grading system is right here. 500 to 600 points is an A B is 400 to 499, and you can do math and look with your own eyes to see the numbers on that. And this is the breakdown on how the points are assigned based on the grades. So you get 6 grades for this class. There's 5 weeks and 6 grades. Attendance and participation is 1. Then you have your discussions that you'll do weekly on D2L. You do 5 in total, and they're 30 points each. Your journal as a whole is 150 points in total, 5 entries per week. With your resources, your quiz, you have 1 quiz in this class, and it is worth 50 points. And it will be very beneficial for you guys to study and read and take your quiz to prepare for your final for this class. You will also get 50 points for your creative meeting, and your final project is 100 points for your performance and your script work. These are all the links for your technology requirements: access navigation for D2L, communication and IT support. If you don't know how to formally write an email, this is a way and a kind of script for you to follow that. If you need help, always make sure that you have a subject line telling me what's going on and what class you're in, so that I know what I'm getting into before I read it. And then, briefly and concisely state what you need. If it takes a really long time to explain what you're needing help with, we might need to meet in person. That might be a little bit more effective. So if it takes more than which you understand the length of an email, if it starts to get exceptionally lengthy, maybe consider scheduling a meeting with me so that we can talk about that face-to-face or with Zoom. Yes, yes, yes. And again, like I said, if you're needing to meet, go ahead and let me know your availability ahead of time. Don't say what works for you. I'm free whenever. Let me know exactly when you're free, because I'm probably, just because the way life works, if you say, I'm good, whatever works for you, I'm going to pick a time that works for me, and it's probably not going to work for you. So just let me know when you're free ahead of time so that I can pick a time that works for both of us. Then we have student conduct. Just be a nice, respectful person, and we'll all get along. If someone isn't respectful, I will ask you to leave. I don't foresee that happening. It hasn't happened before, but that doesn't mean it won't happen in life. And so just preemptively know that if that happens, you might be asked to leave. So just be a good person, be respectful. We're here to learn and grow and adapt and share ideas in a respectful way. And as long as we all do that, we're going to get along. You have to show up to class. It's a 5-week class. If you miss a week, you miss a fifth of the class. I understand life happens, but again, communicate with me. But missing one class puts you behind, and you're going to have to catch up. Again, it's very short rotation, so please communicate and keep up with your work. Don't cheat, don't plagiarize. It's kind of hard to do in this class, but again, if you use a quote from someone else or you're using ideas from someone else, give credit where credit's due. There are very few original ideas in this world at this point, because we get, ideas and thoughts from other people, and that's great. Still, like an artist, that's awesome. But if you are taking something that is basically the idea of someone else and you haven't changed it in any personal way, give them credit for that. If you need help, students with disabilities, please let me know ASAP. I want to take care of you and make sure that you have everything that you need. So just if you fall in that category, let me know and we'll get you taken care of. Don't discriminate. Again, don't be a jerk. Don't be rude. If you're rude, I'll ask you to leave. It is not cool to be a hateful person. So just don't be that hateful person. Again, we're going to respect each other. We're going to have great discussions, and we're all going to get along. Campus conceal carry statement. If you fall into that category, make sure that you are following the rules with that. I will say that when we're going to be moving around and rehearsing and performing, you need to be mindful that you're going to be moving around. And so if you need to not bring it that day, please take that into consideration because of movement, and you don't want anything to go wrong or awry. So just think about that if that applies to you. Also, I am no longer pregnant at this point. This was put at the beginning of the semester. I was induced and had my baby on February 11th, and we're both doing great. So we're online right now for this week. I'm going to try to be back by next week's class. I make no promises. Again, recovery is going great so far, but I will do what I need to do based on how I'm feeling and my baby's feeling. But just, I will keep you guys updated as best I can. But I have had my baby. That's why, partially why we're doing class online right now. Oh, yes. And then also because Tuesday night, it gives you the opportunity to see the show, A Doll's House. So this is the course outline. This is your schedule for the class, tells you when everything's due and what to expect. I'm a big person on including schedules that are color coded and tell you exactly what needs to happen when it needs to happen in your syllabus. I think it makes life easier. I loved it when my instructors did it for me, and so I make it adamant to do it for my students as well. So week one, you're going to introduction to the course. That's what we're doing now. You will have your first discussion, and you will do your reading. So read chapters 8 and 9 from the text. We won't be doing warm-ups because we're virtual right now, but you can look at those warm-ups and kind of start familiarizing yourself with that as well. You also need to do a journal entry this week. I know it's a little bit different, but your journal entry can be based on the video that we're watching, you navigating D2L, different thoughts and ideas you have moving forward, apprehensions, concerns, excitements. You can, if and when, hopefully, you go see the show, maybe you include that in your journal. Whatever works for you, just really reflect and enjoy and experience the time that you're putting into each rotation. I encourage you guys to keep journals in your other rotations. If you didn't do it for your previous rotation, write some thoughts down now so that you can go back to it. And then maybe any resources that your previous instructor gave you that you want to take off of D2L and download and put in a folder or put in a Google Doc. Do that because it's going to be easier. You're going to want to come back to it. I promise. And then you're also going to get in discussion with your group people. I will email you that as soon as possible. Again, I'm at home recovering with my baby, but I'm trying to stay on top of it home as best I can. I will email you guys who is in what group. And I encourage you guys to email each other, get each other's phone numbers, whatever works for you guys, do a group me, whatever, and go ahead and decide on a fairy tale and start looking for a script. The sooner you find the script, the easier it's going to be for you. And then week 2, we'll do more discussion and instruction here in a minute. After I cover D2L, I'm going to cover some basic theater principles so that you guys kind of have an understanding of what we're going to be doing before we jump into it. And then next week is going to be really covering how the high points of the chapters of theater in the textbook and how we can integrate those into the classroom and really kind of dig into why we're doing this class on really applying theater in the classroom and what that looks like. This week, you're going to just kind of learn about theater and drama, as its face value. And then next week, we're going to talk about applying it into the class. And then we're going to discuss your script selections. And seeing if you have cuttings and castings and how you guys are moving forward with that. You're going to continue reading chapters 8 and 9, do your discussion and your journal entry. Weeks 3 and 4 and 5, you're going to be able to rehearse on your performances, your scenes, your plays, your short plays or scenes. And so we'll do warm-ups and we'll do rehearsal time during class, all during class. And then during that week, you're going to have to do your journal entry again, a discussion. That is when you will take your quiz. And then you really need to make sure that you're communicating with your group and maybe do outside rehearsals if you can. But I want to give you guys as much rehearsal time in class because I know scheduling is a beast and people commute and I know that's hard. So if you guys can rehearse outside of class, great. If not, I'm trying to give you as much time as I can to get you guys ahead. But I do say that you have to memorize outside of class. If you guys can't rehearse outside of class, then you need to be doing your work memorizing and communicating your script with each other outside of class, and then using class time to rehearse, get on your feet, learn your blocking, all of those things. If you want to have one person that's in charge of blocking and costumes and props and whatever, that's fine. Just make sure that you are all you all have ownership over this project. Not one person is in charge. You're all in charge, because theater is about collaboration and discussion, and a discussion of creativity and minds. So even though you guys are educators and you guys are going to be the leaders in your classroom, it's really all about, being a team and being collaborative during this project. And so you guys can all work on costuming, all work on props. You guys can do a mix. You guys can have assignments that you guys give to each other. Like one person's like, oh, I want to do costumes, I want to do this. Or you can do it together. I think it's better if you do it together, because like costuming, you don't have to have like on the nose. If you do Little Red Riding Hood, it doesn't have to be a literal Red Riding Hood. It can be a red shirt. It can be, a red hat, whatever. Props can be, I told them, one of my last groups, if you're playing, the father of Hansel and Gretel and you're playing the witch, maybe you just stick your finger under your nose and pretend it's a mustache, and you talk with a lower voice, and you pretend to be the father and you're talking like this. And then when you're the witch, you take the finger away and you change your voice to a witchy voice. You're playing those different characters. Theater can be as literal or as figurative as you want it to be. That's the beauty of it. Theater can be done with the smallest amount of resources. And that's one of the fun things and the beauty about doing projects like this. Because I don't want you guys to go out and spend money on it. Please don't. Really be resourceful, because you're going to have to be resourceful as an educator. You don't know what your budget's going to be for your classroom. You don't know what you're going to be getting into. And so really take the opportunity to be resourceful with what you have and what your group has, and really lean on each other and rely on each other in that way. And then week 4, we're going to do more rehearsal time. And that's when I'll go around, do creative meetings with you as well. You'll have another journal entry and a discussion on D2L. And then in week 5, we'll rehearse for at least 30 minutes. By week 5, hopefully you'll have everything down and you'll just be running it a few times before class, before we jump into it. And then we'll do our final performances. I'll talk to you guys. I'll give you some thoughts of some strengths and some growth that you can do. Candace might have some thoughts for you as well. If anyone else has any comments, concerns, encouragements, we'll do that as well. And then you'll have your journal submission, all entries together. So again, you've been doing these journal entries on your own. It's on our system. I've been hoping that you guys at this point, by the time we're in week 5, will have been doing your journals on your own. And then at the end of week 5, you need to submit the journal as a whole. I need to see all 5 of those journal entries, and at least that one section that has resources for you. There's no wrong way to do it organization wise. The 3 things that I'm going to be grading you on is that the fact that you have 5 journal entries, you have some sort of resources for you to look back on in the future, and that you organize it clearly and I can understand what you're turning into me. Past that, organization, color coding, types of resources, if you have subsections, if it's very, basic, whatever works for you and your mind as an educator, you do that. As long as it has the journal entries, the resources, and it's organized, we're good. And then there is a QR code. Again, everyone's getting, I say again, I haven't told you guys this. Everyone gets points this week for attendance since we're doing it online. But when we're in person, you will scan your QR code and I'll log your attendance for that. But also don't hesitate to email me. I have QR codes in person when we meet. And then there's also a QR code at the end of the syllabus for you to use as well. So yeah, these are helpful links for you at the end of the syllabus as well. There's a link to warm-ups, fairy tale based scripts for you to look at. These are very short fairy tale scripts that you can adapt and as you want, or you can use in your classrooms based on what you guys are wanting to do. So yeah, that's the syllabus. And so now we're going to jump over to D2L. So yeah, again, look at your announcements, always, always, always. So again, like I said, I posted that we're going to be online this Tuesday night, and it gives you an opportunity to go see the show. There is a link to get tickets right there. Please make sure that if you go see the production and you get your tickets, that you everything is digital. So all your tickets are digital. They'll scan it on your phone, all that jazz. But make sure that the show starts here. I'll just click this and show you. The show starts at 7:30. So that means that you need to be letting them scan your ticket and finding your seat before 7:30. So I would be walking into the lobby to watch the show no later than 7:20, 7:25, because once 7:30 hits, they might hold the house for a few minutes, but a lot of times they don't, and they shut the doors, and you never know if they're going to allow late seating, and you don't want to be that person showing up late. So just the theater motto is on time is late, and early is on time. So take that in consideration. So again, you'll click the link, you'll scroll down, and you can click any night you want to see it. So you have 7:30 showings from Tuesday, which is tomorrow, through Saturday, again, showing up early, and then Sunday matinee. So let's say I'll be at the Sunday matinee. So you click it, you want to get tickets. And then you can either pick your ticket and have them pick the closest one, the best seat, whatever. I like to be able to choose my own seat. So if you want to choose your own seat, you buy it on the map, and then you see what's available for that night. And so if it's gray, it's already been reserved. And then you just say, I want, center. So I click that one, and I select the kind of one it is. So I select it and adds it to my cart, and then you check out, you do all the things. I clicked senior. I don't know why I clicked senior. It was the closest one. You guys will be choosing student. So make sure that you do that and get that taken care of, and get your tickets. So now we're going to be going back to D2L. So you've gotten your tickets if you want to do that. So for theater, your theater rotation, if you go to content, you go to theater, you have obviously your syllabus that I just went over. And then you have handouts. You have more handouts than you could ever possibly need for this class. Your theater teaks you will use for this class. You need to know them. It'll be covered on your, why is that not visible? Oh, that's because I messed up uploading it. So you will be using your theater teaks. That one's down here, the K-5 theater teaks. You will be needing to see your viewpoints handout. That will be covered on your quiz as well. So you guys need to look at that and understand that. Teaching resource activities, these are resources for you guys to use in your journal if you want, for you to use in life if you want. If you don't like them, you don't have to use them. There's the slideshow that you can use as well, that we're covering in class. I'll get into it here in a minute. And then there's education theories handout, as well as using drama as an effective method to teach elementary students. That's a paper. You can read it if you want. It's a great read. It's fun, it's insightful, but the only ones that you need to use for this class, based on the quiz and things such as that, are your viewpoints handout and K-5 theater teaks. And then you should also look at the slideshow. You'll also see the slideshow in class, but if you want to look at it later, the slides are there for you. And then also, so we have assignments. You scroll down to theater, you have your theater journal. That's where you're going to turn that in. People from the last class have turned that in. And then this is where you're going to turn in your script work. Again, I'll cover that more, the specifics of what that's going to look like here later. But that's where you're going to turn in your script work for your final, because the final is half performance, half script work, or excuse me, it's majority of the performance, and then 50 points is the script work. And so those are your only two submissions that you make in the assignment section of theater. And then you have your theater discussion section. So you introduce yourself for week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and week 5. So there is that. I am also going to be adding another discussion board for this video. I need to do that in the future. I will go back and add that after recording this video, because I realize I haven't done that. But you will have a theater discussion section for your for this video, where you can click the link, watch the video, and ask questions on the discussion board. And then I also need to go in and add another assignment section for extra credit for you, I believe. So there should be another section where it says like theater extra credit, and that's when you're going to like when you go see the show, If you upload a picture of you watching the show, like the stage, or a picture of your ticket stub and your reservation, you're just going to upload a picture of that, and I'll give you extra credit for attending the play. But I have to go in and add that. And I will do that after I'm done recording this for you guys. So, and then you have your quiz. That is theater quiz right there. So yeah, that covers D2L, that covers the syllabus. So now I'm going to jump into the slides for this class. I'm going to just go ahead and open up the one that I gave to you guys. So it's loading. I have rural internet, so things take a minute. So yeah. So again, when we were in person, I would have asked you, what is your own personal experience in theater? You know, some people have no experience. Some people did it in high school, or they did it through, community theaters, through churches, through YMCAs, things like that. And that's all awesome. If you come in with the background, great. If you don't, great too. We're all going to figure it out together. So the 4 basic elements of theater are the space, performers, watchers, and ideas. Those are the only 4 elements that you need for theater to happen. You need a place to do it, people to watch, and ideas to communicate back and forth to each other. A live performance consists of sharing the space and time in real life moments. And so if it's recorded in any way, like movies are not live performances. Saturday Night Live is a live performance because it's live. Anything on TV that is live, even though it's delayed, it's still a live performance. It's just not in the space in real time. Concerts are live performances, dramatic readings, debates, sporting events, anything, speeches, things like that. And then you have Aristotle's 6 elements of theater. He breaks it or elaborates on it a little bit more than the 4 basic elements of theater. So he covers plot, character, idea, language, music, and spectacle. So the plot, what consists in the story, what happens in the story that is necessary, that progresses the summary and the storyline as a whole. The characters, not just the names of them, like the types of characters, which we'll get into here in a second. The types of characters that they are, their names, their social status, their relationships to other characters, things such as that. What ideas are communicated in the play? Is it romantic? Is it realistic? Is it fantasy? Does it cover morality? Does it cover anything, themes, ideas, things like that? You've covered it in English probably your entire life at this point, so you guys kind of understand that. Language, not just they speak in English, they speak in French. It is that, but also the language is also the script, the dialogue, what words are used, because different people use different words based on their character and their where they're located at, their backstory, what age they are. They also speak differently based on their relationships to each other. That's very important. That's all covered in language. It's not just what they're speaking, it's how they're speaking it to each other, the intentions, all of that jazz. Then we have music. Musicals obviously have music that people sing. A musical song usually comes into play when words are not enough, so they must be sung. And straight plays that are not musicals, they typically have sound cues. Sometimes they have background music underscoring the moment or the mood, things such as that. Sorry, you also might hear my dogs. I put them in the laundry room so that they wouldn't make racket, but they're on the other side, so you might hear them as well. So we also have spectacle. Spectacle covers the whole, the mise en scene is the French word for it. The spectacle is a culmination of everything that's being used in the moment. So it's design, it's the acting, the directing, the lighting, the sound, it's all of it working in tandem to create this beautiful spectacle, this moment, this visual instance that you're seeing. So all of those elements were Aristotle's 6 elements of theater. Catharsis is also a big thing in theater. Catharsis is the Greek word for purge of emotion. And so when you go and experience something, and when you go and experience a performance, be it theater, be it I hope that all of you have had at least one experience with watching a movie on its opening night. It's very cathartic because you're sharing this moment with these other people in the space, and you're watching this amazing film, and you're having this cathartic experience emotionally because of what you're watching and the people you're watching it around. Theater is very much the same. You have catharsis. It's a purge of emotion. It can be any emotion. It can be anger, frustration, joy, sorrow, peace. Even if you go watch a production that you hated and you thought was awful, and you told your best friend about it over coffee the next day about how awful it was, you experienced catharsis. You purged emotion. It might not have been the most positive emotion, but it was an emotion nonetheless. And so I also mentioned types of characters. You have the protagonist, the antagonist, the confidant, and the narrator. The protagonist is typically usually the hero, the main focal point around the story, someone that has a purpose, that has an intention to complete something. They're the main character, they're the protagonist. And then you have the antagonist, which is someone that stands in direct opposition of the protagonist. They're trying to stop or hinder what the protagonist is trying to do. Then you have a confidant or multiple. You can also have multiple characters that fall into these categories. You have the confidant, which is usually the best friend of the protagonist. They lean on them. They go to them for help, for mentorship, things like that. And then you also have narrators as well, that they exist in between the world of the play and the audience, and they kind of are the bridge between those two. And they're in on the story, and they're in on communicating that to you, because you know about the performance, and but the performers don't know about you. And then the narrator falls in between. So then we also have stage directions. You look at the stage. So if you're sitting in this audience right here, you're looking at the stage just how you're looking at these pictures. So the stage directions, are based on the perspective of the actors. So even though we're looking at the screen, and this is the left of the stage from our perspective, it is not stage left because it is based on the actor's perspective, because this would be their right. So if you were standing here and facing the audience, it would be your right. So it's stage right, same with stage left, and downstage and upstage. So downstage and upstage was determined historically because the stages used to be raked, meaning that they were at an angle. So back here would have been a little elevated and higher, and there would have been a direct slope that went down toward the audience. It was for functional reasons, as well as other reasons. But even though our stages are not built like that anymore, we still call it upstage and downstage, because they literally had to walk up a slope to get up to the upstage, and they had to walk downstage to downward to get to the audience, which is why that is called downstage. These are the 4 basic stage directions, and these are more elaborate stage directions. You have upright center, up left center, up left, for stage right, all of that jazz. It's just more compact, specific zones for you to look at. This will be very beneficial for you to use in your blocking when you're rehearsing for your plays and your scenes, as well as your quiz. So we have different types of stages. This is a thrust stage because this area right here thrusts into the audience. There is seating on 3 sides. The proscenium stage, which is what we have a semi-proscenium, semi-thrust stage at the university's PAC where we have class, but a true proscenium is like Ferguson. So it has this arch right here. The audience is on basically one side of the stage. Because even though these people are here in the balconies, the stage is here. So if it was a thrust stage, they would be somewhere to the side of the stage as well. Then you have the alley theater, which is like a runway, the arena, meaning that's theater in the round. There's seating on all sides. And then you have the black box. The black box is the most versatile space and stage for theater because it's a black box. They could make it an arena style black box and put more seats here. They could just put seats on one side. They have it thrust set up right now. It's a very versatile, adaptable space for you to use. And so reading a play is very different than performing a play. So the stage directions that are in plays, the little italics or things in parentheses, are just suggestions. You're not required to use them. In old historical plays, the stage directions were written down by the stage manager because that's what they did the first time they performed the play. In more modern plays, the stage directions are given by the playwright because that's their suggestion and their intention. But you don't have to incorporate it because that's the beauty of theater. I like to say that the dialogue is the dialogue, pun intended. If it is spoken, it is truth, hence dialogue. So, and even though it's in parentheses and italics, if a character does not mention anything about it, you don't have to use it. So if the stage direction said I designed a play that it had what they were wearing at the beginning of the stage directions of every scene. But even though it says he's wearing a blue suit and she's wearing a black dress, they never mentioned, oh, that's a lovely black dress, or, oh, I just love your blue suit. So I didn't have to put them in those colors or those specific outfits. So I was able to make changes with that. But if you're in a play where they say, oh, you have such a lovely pink dress, like I'm working on Beauty and the Beast with my high school students right now, doing that musical. And he says it's pink, so she needs to be in a pink dress at some point. If it's blue, the audience is going to be confused. That kind of makes sense. So if it's in the dialogue, it is the dialogue. If it is not mentioned in the dialogue and it's just in parentheses, it's a suggestion. You can use it. You're more than welcome to use it, but it doesn't mean you have to. You can change it and adapt it. So yeah, that's basically what I said right there. Just not made basically word for word. When you're approaching the script, you as an actor, a director, a designer, all of them, you have to approach the given circumstances. So it's very, very useful for actors because you extensively flesh out the 5 W's. Who is your character? Who, what, when, where, why. You cover that in English as well. Who is your character? What is your character doing? When is this happening? What is happening and why is it happening? And within those 5 categories, you can cover the 3 P's. So I am positive that Little Red Riding Hood has a red riding hood because they call her Little Red Riding Hood. It's possible that she is about 13 because she's very naive. And it is probable that she is in Montana, maybe because there's woods, I don't know, or mountains, because they are in the woods and in the mountains. But maybe depending on your script, it doesn't mention word for word where they are located, things like that. So it's very useful for actors, directors, and designers, but actors have to extensively flesh these out. We'll go over that more in class when you guys are working on your given circumstances. Script analysis is also very useful for actors, directors, and designers. Designers and directors extensively research and develop them so that they can execute the needs of the production. So you need to do research, you need to do historical research. Maybe you research past productions. Some people recommend researching past productions, some don't. I fall somewhere in between. I think it's helpful sometimes, and I also think it's hurtful because sometimes if you just look at past productions, you're just going to want to do the same thing they did. So you kind of have to toe the line a little bit so that you have a little bit of yourself in there as well. So with design, you have scenography, which is creating performance environments using structure, space, lights, costumes, and sound. It's the total package. Like I said before, it's the mise en scene. It is the spectacle. It looks like it belongs together. Many designers work together yet separately to create a cohesive stage environment. Again, it's the mise en scene. And you have to answer these questions when you're approaching design. You have to say yes. You have to make the commitment. You have to analyze and gather your research. You read the script at least 3 times, 1 for pleasure, for your enjoyment. The second, to have ideas and insights, and the third, to confirm those ideas and insights. And then you're going to research historical backgrounds, meanings, time periods, imagery, and you can even use past productions, like I said, but just be, some people are weary on it so that they have a little bit of their own artistic flair. And then you're going to walk away from it, let it percolate, let the information sit with you, take a break from it, and then come back. And then you're going to choose and select the ideas you're most excited about that also meet the needs of the production. And then you are going to execute them. Or you also have to get that approved by your director as well. And then you're going to execute it. You're going to render, create, and realize, and you're going to reflect after it's all over. What are the successes? What's the growth? What can you do next time if that applies to you? And again, this is all an application to theater in its application, because like we'll cover next week, theater is about the application part, and you guys are going to apply it in this class. But really this class is to help you apply drama to your classroom and make insights based on your curriculum. But this is also very important for you to understand to do your project and for you to understand in life. So you also create a design concept. You think about themes, words, phrases, locations, anything in the scripts that the script provides that you're drawn to, different characters, things like that. When you're creating a design concept, you can use images, music, colors, textures, anything that's visual to communicate your ideas. Vision boards are really, really great. You have to have approval for the director of your design concept before you move into renderings and models. But you think about lines, masks, composition, textures, colors, all of that jazz. And here are some examples of some design boards and vision boards. They're communication tools for you to communicate what your intentions are to the director and to the rest of your team. And so again, there's drawings, there's swatches here, there's colors, there's pictures. Here's some more abstract vision boards, because there's colors and textures and lines and shadows. And this is, from magazines, because maybe they are very, modern, and maybe it's New York, and New York is all about the times and the magazines and all of that jazz. Then you have costume renderings. These are beautiful, beautiful drawn renderings. I've never been able to draw something that beautiful. But you don't have to be an amazing artist to be an amazing designer. You just have to be able to communicate your ideas. And then this is an example of a model. So he would have drawn this and got it approved by the director, and then he makes a model for them to use and kind of see and use in rehearsals, because you need to know where your set pieces are in rehearsals so that you can accurately do your blocking. Because if the director had one of the actors running from center stage running all the way over right stage, you need to know there's a column there to watch out for. So you're going to have to move a little bit more downstage to avoid it. Things such as that. This is a makeup rendering to let an actor know how to do their makeup for a role. You can also do this digitally for lighting design if you have the right programming for things such as this. This is beautiful symmetry. This is more moody, things such as that. The elements of a successful design are that they fully serve the production's needs. It's unified with the whole production. It needs to look like it's cohesive and works together, unless the point of the design is that it is uncohesive. If it's meant to be a hot mess and not cohesive, then make sure that is the needs of the production. But other than that, other than being intentional about it being uncohesive, it needs to be cohesive. It also needs to communicate the specifics about the world unfolding in the performance. And the design needs to dare watchers to have deeper reactions. And it needs to be dynamic and be able to change and match the evolving mood or tone and content. So if a person is supposed to go from rags to riches or riches to rags, then in that costuming, that needs to be communicated. That needs to be visually expressed. If there's a war going on and you want the stage to look like it's the war, is going on for a few years. So at the beginning, maybe the stage is a little bit more put together, and maybe as the scenes progress, you have the set fall apart little by little. Sorry, that was the phone ringing. But also you have costume designs as well. A lot of the design applications overlap through set design, costume design, and all of that jazz. But the costume design focuses on the characters deeply. You need to understand the characters. You need to understand their jobs. in their roles, because if they are a businessman, they probably need to be in a suit. If they're a moody businessman, they probably need to be in a dark suit, things like that. They should tell us who they are or who they want us to think they are. So you need to think about the function in the space and on the body. If they're going to be moving a lot and doing fight scenes and they're going to be very active, then you don't need to have a really long train on a dress because they're probably going to trip. You need to also think about how it relates to the character and the plot. Again, so then you also need to think about the time period, style, colors, and tones. Then you need to also back it up with evidence from the script if needed. Again, it's the Dial law. You need to pay attention to your other designers' contributions and the director. It should all blend. Again, it should all blend unless the intention is for it to not blend. Then when you're doing scenic design, you're establishing the space. You need to determine the given circumstances, the theater's needs, the script's needs, and you need to devise a concept, a central image, a scenic metaphor. So what is the concept of your design? Is it that it's all whimsical and there's going to be curves and lines because it's Alice in Wonderland, and that, you know, everything is not going to match up? It's intentionally going to be a beautiful hot mess, for lack of a better term, and it's going to be uneven. It's going to be angles because it's a fantasy. It's not reality. Things like that. You need to be able to accurately communicate that to your team and to your director. Lighting design focuses on the primary, or the visibility is the primary focus of the design. So we need to see the people. If we can't see the people, we can't, or if there's no light, we can't see the people. But you can also be very creative in lighting design. If you have an actor that is performing at the edge of the stage that is supposed to be, you know, looking out a window, thinking about how they're trapped inside the four walls of their home, you can't obviously have a window there in front of them because that obstructs the view of the actor, but you can use a gobo and put it in the light to make it look like it's the shadow of a light, and that hits the stage and that hits the actor, and so the audience accepts that there's a window there. So it's very beautiful. In that way, you can really be creative in your lighting design. You can also be creative in your sound design. Sound designs are for practical and creative use. Again, sound design is very applicable in musicals because you have to have music and you have to have composition and things such as that. But it can be used for phones, doorbells, radio, music. And you can also do a pre-show playlist while people are sitting down that have songs that reflect the ideas and the moods of the play. You can do that after the show as well. I always had a mentor and a director that thought it was very important to have music at the beginning and end of a play while people are getting there and leaving, because it makes it less awkward. It really establishes the mood of the space. It makes you comfortable to be there. And I really agree with that. And I do that with all of my shows as well. And so you have pre-show and post-show playlists. You also have maybe a song that plays under, even though it's not in the script or it's necessarily needed for there to be a song playing in the background during a scene. Maybe you want it to be there because it, again, just reinforces the mood that is happening in that scene. It's really beautiful and a really great way to communicate design and enhance the needs of the production. So when you are a designer, you go through different things like cues. So this is especially applicable for lights and sound, sometimes set as well, but the cues tell you what is going to happen, when it's going to happen. So the cues are going to tell you what page that the lights are changing or the sound is happening and what line it's happening on, things such as that. You have a cue sheet that has a list of all of those cues and where they line up and what they're doing. And then you have paper tech where you notate all of that in the script for your stage manager and your director. With your cue sheets, you typically do numbers or letters for your lights and sounds. You want one that has letters and one that has numbers, just so that they're different, because when your stage manager is saying go Q1, if you both have numbers, music and lights are going to go at the same time when they're not necessarily supposed to happen. So, but if you say go Q1 and it's just for lights because lights are numbers, and then you have go QA for sound, then it's not going to be confusing, things like that. And again, paper text for them to write it down. Cue to cue is for them to get it in the board and realize and make sure it looks good. You can have actors that are walkers, or just random people that get into position on the stages that they need to make sure everything looks good and is focused. The cue to cue is not a run through, but a run through afterward is very helpful to make sure that it's seamless and it goes well. And you can do a cue to cue until you get it right. One of the important needs, directing and the importance of acting fundamentals. One of the important aspects of performing is to stay engaged while you're acting. Being engaged in the production, not just yourself, not just thinking about your lines. You need to engage and be present in the moment with your scene partners and being open and available to every other actor on the stage. You should already have your lines memorized. When you memorize well, it becomes second nature. You don't have to think about what you're saying next. So when it's already second nature and it's already ingrained, you're able to focus on what's happening in front of your face, because each performance is different to a degree. You're obviously performing the same show, but it's not going to be an exact carbon copy each night. Little things are going to change. Maybe you have someone that accidentally knocks over a glass on stage and it breaks. You need to acknowledge that happened, because if it happens in real life, if my husband is in the kitchen and I hear a crash, I'm going to say, what happened? Or I'm going to get up and go look and see what happened. I'm not just going to sit here all dandy thinking that everything's okay. I'm going to acknowledge that something happened. So even if it is not supposed to happen on stage, you have to acknowledge it. You need to be open and available and engage with the set, with your scene partners, with each other, to be able to have a genuine performance. And again, actors should never have their attention in their own head. They should be focused on what's happening in the moment. And I kind of covered all of that with what I was saying. So actors need to play their part, but not forget how their part impacts and affects others as well. So when you're playing your role very well, you know how your character affects yourself and the world of the play and other people. And so you really need to know your character deeply. So acting has been historically summed up with one word, which is mimesis, which is mimicry. It's a Greek word. We're mimicking feelings and emotions, and we're recreating things in the moment. So even though, like, I've not lost my mother, she's here helping me take care of me and my baby. She's very much alive. But if I am recreating the feeling of grief and loss for a mother, I obviously haven't experienced that, thank the Lord. But I need to recreate that type of feeling of losing a mother. So I'm recreating that emotion on stage so that I can connect with people, connect with the story, and make people feel something. You also need to make sure that you know what your objectives are as an actor, your wants and needs. What are your objectives? What's your super objective? What's the ultimate and greater want and need that you need to complete in that play? And then you have smaller objectives that feed into that super objective. You also have beats, which are moment to moment emotional and situational changes that happen throughout the play. So like I've been mentioning Little Red Riding Hood. At the beginning, she's getting a basket ready for her grandmother. So that's one beat. I'm getting a basket ready to my grandmother. And then I'm about to leave the house and go on a journey to see my grandmother. That is a beat change. So the first beat was at the house getting ready to go see the grandmother. The second beat is going on the journey to see the grandmother. And then when the wolf comes into play and he meets her on the on the road and he starts coming into play, that's another situational change, and it's a moment to moment change. So then you have another beat. So that's a third beat with the interaction with the wolf. And maybe there's even another beat within that one interaction, you know. Hopefully you kind of gather what the beat is. It's beneficial, excuse me, to walk through a script and mark beats with students so that they can understand the changes in a story and why it's happening. Beats are very useful in just communicating situational changes in anything you're working with. Also very helpful with English application. So yeah. Also actors use gestures. There's functional gestures. So like I'm scratching my knee, it's serving a purpose. I'm itchy and I am scratching my knee. Conventional gestures replace words. So like nodding your head for yes, shaking your head for no. Social gestures are cultural communication and ritual movement, such as waving, like saying hello and waving at someone, flipping them the bird if they're being a hateful turd. Maybe if you're in a historically accurate play, you curtsy when you meet somebody. You need to know what social facial gestures apply to you and your character. Habitual ones like licking your lips, biting your fingernails, tapping your foot, it's a habit. Emotional ones replace words when they're not enough. So I'm so emotional, and I love my mom so much because she's so amazing that I have to hug her because I can't communicate that through words. So I just need to hug her. Or, I love my husband so much and I'm so proud that he's so amazing. So I give him a kiss because I can't communicate that through words. So I give him a kiss, things like that. Your ghost gestures are your nonverbal expressions of your inner state. So if you're nervous, you're going to probably wring your hands. You're not going to really know that you're wringing your hands because you're nervous, or biting your nails. If you're flirting with someone and you're being very flirty and you're interested in them, maybe you twirl your hair or you play with your hair because it's a ghost gesture that you don't necessarily mean to, but your body just naturally does it because of the emotional state that you're in. So the viewpoints handout that I gave you in D2L talks about viewpoints of time, space, and voice. So time, the tempo of it, how fast or slow it's happening, the duration, how long or short it's happening in, this kinesthetic response through your body, the repetition, how often is it happening, the space, the shape of it, the movement, the gesture, the architecture, the spatial relationship. It says special, it's supposed to be spatial relationship through the space, and then topography. So if I am making my body into a hunched over shape because I am a very awkward and guttural character, I'm very inward. I don't want people to see me. So I'm going to hunch my back and hunch my shoulders, and maybe my gesture is that I wring my hands because I'm nervous all the time because I don't want people to talk about me because I'm a very, hunched over, very inward person. And architecture, maybe I hide behind everything because again, I don't want to be seen. My spatial relationship is I'm going to be very close to buildings and figures and chairs because I want to hide. I don't want to be left alone. And then topography for the character that I'm describing right now off the top of my head, maybe topography is the movement. So if I were to put paint on the bottom of my feet and walk around stage, I'm creating the topography, the movement, the space around. I'm creating a roadmap basically of my movement. So if I'm creating this character that I've been describing, my topography is going to probably be very little because I'm not going to actively seek out movement. I'm going to hide behind things. I'm not going to want people to approach me. So if I put paint on my feet and I'm playing this character on stage, there's probably not going to be a lot of paint on the stage. If you kind of understand what I'm getting at with that. So then you have your voice, your pitch, your dynamic, your acceleration, deceleration, silence, and timbre. So think like Janice from Friends. She has a high pitch, and the dynamics of it that it's very annoying. And she talks in her words are a little decelerated and held out. If they were accelerated, they would be very fast. I have a very accelerated voice. I talk very fast. I talk a lot. Hopefully you guys are really grasping everything that I'm talking about. But I have a very accelerated voice. I'm posting this video to YouTube. So if you need to slow down the speed of the video so that you can fully understand me, you can do that as well. So then you have the silence is also very important on stage. It can be very impactful as well. And the timbre, basically like if you've ever heard of radio people from back in the day, they really have a really honey tone and the timbre in their voice. Maybe that like Janice has a really annoying nasal timbre in her voice. A lot of people have very raspy voices when they talk, things like that. Endowment creates more reality and meaning that furthers the needs of the story. The actor creates the reality in the scene to keep one's mind in the world of the play. And so, like I said before, if I'm at the edge of the stage looking through a window, maybe I see someone coming from a distance, and I open my eyes really wide and I stand up straighter and I put my hand over my eyes because I'm trying to make sure the sun isn't in them so I can see who's coming. And then I wave really big and I'm endowing that space with someone that is coming from a distance. So people understand that I'm seeing something. I'm waving at it. I'm excited about it. I'm eager to see what is in the distance. I'm endowing that. You can do it with props, blocking, and space. So again, like I said, peering out at a landscape or a building, creating structure on an empty stage. So opening an imaginary door, you're in doubt, like there's no door there, but if you reach forward, grab an imaginary handle, twist it, and open that, people are going to know you're opening a door. It's mime, it's pantomime. We'll cover that next week. Pretending to get in an elevator, or looking around like the walls are creeping in and you're getting smaller and you're hunching down, things such as that. So yes, the performance ingredients are relationship. It defines what a person or object means to a character. What does the character want? What is something that gets in the way of what they want? What is their strategy to complete their needs and their wants and to get around those obstacles? What specific maneuvers are a part of their strategy? What is the text provide for them? What literature, what's the story, what's the lines, what's the dialogue, what's the subtext, what are things that are left unsaid that you need to communicate to the audience that they need to understand through your acting, the underlying means and the intention. Then you evaluate and reflect the success of your plan. And again, you have those beats, those shifts in the scenes, those plans, those objectives. They can be emotional or literal. And then just living in the character and not on top of it. It is a marriage of the minds. I can play Belle from Beauty and the Beast, and it's going to be very different from Emma Watson's portrayal of Belle from Beauty and the Beast. We're going to be playing the same character. We still have the same script with the same given circumstances, but the way I interpret a character and their circumstances is going to be different from Emma Watson, because we're two different people and we've had two different life experiences. So we're going to play the character similarly maybe, but also very different. It really needs to be a marriage of the minds. You bring yourself to the character and you marry your mind to your character, because you're interpreting it different than someone else. But you also need to, again, serve the needs of the script. So like I said before, I haven't lost my mother. She's still very alive, taking care of me and my child right now. And she's great, but that's where I end and where my character begins. So if my character has lost her mother, I'm bringing the fact that I love my mother so much, and losing her would be devastating to me. So where I end is the fact that I haven't lost my mother, but I love my mother, and losing her would be devastating. That's where the character picks up. So I need to jump into the mindset of I have lost my mother and it is devastating. Does that make sense? So you're marrying those minds together. And then you have the director. They're the overall visionary of the production. They intimately know every facet of the needs and the goals of the production. They have to research. They do the blocking and the movement. They create stage pictures. They direct ensemble work, and they navigate the space. They tell people how to do the great things. But also they know a good director is a good leader, but a good director is also taking into consideration the thoughts and ideas of the people they're directing. You have different types of directors. You have some people that are very controlling, some that are very organic. Good directors exist somewhere in between, where they can really lead someone and pull them out of their shell and show them a better way of doing what they're doing. But they also recognize, oh, I had an idea of it going one way with this character, but I really like what you're doing with it, and that's better. And the director can be a good leader and know when their idea wasn't the best idea, and they can drop what they thought they knew and go with something else. Does that make sense? Hopefully. But they have a vision to communicate to the audience through the production, a story. They have something that they want the audience to feel, hopefully, or to communicate an idea. But they coach actors, they deepen their characters, and they tell the story. They have to be well-versed in acting and technical aspects to appropriately communicate with everyone. So if I'm directing a play, I need to know all of the aspects of acting so that I can communicate to the actors and direct them effectively. And I also need to understand technical aspects so that I can effectively communicate with those designers so that I understand what's going on. A good director has a good background in all elements of theater. And so, yes, I told you we were going to get to your script work for your final. So I've been talking about those given circumstances, the 5 W's, who, what, when, where, why, and how you can consider the 3 P's within those 5 W's. So if I'm considering my character and I'm thinking about who am I? I'm based on the script. I'm positive that my name is Little Red Riding Hood. I am positive that my grandmother is sick. and I love her and I don't want anything bad to happen to her, it's probable that maybe my grandmother helped raise me because I love her so much and want to go take care of her. Maybe not. But if I'm willing to go take care of her when she's sick, it's probable that she took care of me when I was sick. And so I really care about her. And it's possible that, my grandmother is very, very old because she's gotten sick. Older people get sick more often. So maybe she's older, things like that. So we're considering each 5W, thinking about those 3 Ps if you want. That's a good base for you to start at. So what you're going to do is you're going to be in your groups. Obviously, I'm going to assign your groups, and you're going to pick a script and a story. And then you're going to look at that script and you're going to assign roles and characters. You're going to read that script and you're going to do the given circumstances for the characters that you're playing. So you need to have a digital copy of your scene for everybody to work on. So when you turn in your script work, it's not going to look exactly the same. So the things that should be the same, the given circumstances are what you're going to do on your own. I'll explain this a little bit more here in a second. So let me backtrack a little bit. So you're in your groups, you've decided to do Little Red Riding Hood. You have found a script or a mixture of different scripts or a mixture of different scripts in your own personal interpretations of it. And so you have a script and we've decided who's playing what. And so we've picked our script, we've decided who's playing what. So then we need to go through our beats. Like I said before, you need to go through that script and mark the different beats of the emotional or situational changes. You need to decide that together. And in your script, you're going to mark it with a backslash. Remember that beats are changes in emotions and focus and topic. So you're going to mark that beat with a backslash. I'll show you here. And then you're going to, so that's the end of it. That's the end of what should be the same for everyone in the group. You should have the same script and you should have the same beats marked. Your given circumstances should be different because again, you're playing different characters. And then there's one last thing that you're going to do with your script work is you're going to mark the beats, but you also need to notate what is happening within the beat. What is the subtext, the inner emotion of your character? What is not being said that you need to communicate? You can notate it in a different color in the document between each beat. So for an example for this, give me a moment. I kind of got off on it a little bit. So let me see if I can pop over here to, I'm on my drive. I'm going to pop over to my other teacher drive and show you an example of what I'm talking about visually. Just give me a moment. So yeah, this is a monologue, so it's not going to be your scene. This is marking the beats from the perspective of one person. So ignore the comments over here. So this is a monologue. Everything that is black is my script. So this is what is being said. This is what I would say, all of the black words. That is the script, that is the dialogue. And as you can see right here, I have marked the beat or the beats within these things. There's a lot of beats within the monologue. You should have at least 3 to 5 beats, if not more, within your scene. Really think very deeply about these beats. When something changes, you need to mark it. And there should be things changing because you don't have the same thoughts for 5 minutes on end. I've had a million beat changes while discussing this with you. I've had a different beat change within slideshow, within each slide. I've had different beat changes within the changes of slides, things like that. But then, as you notice, there are these red sections. So when we back it up, the first thing that my character would say is I keep things in, things, emotions, my emotions. Even though I say that, the thing that I'm thinking about on the inside in my heart is I'm thinking about, I have to have the courage to be honest about my issues. So that is going to affect how I say that. So if I'm thinking about this, have the courage to be honest about your issues. If I'm thinking about that statement, I'm not going to say, I keep things in, things, emotions, my emotions. I'm not going to be really upbeat about it. If you're saying have the courage, having courage is hard, and have the courage to be honest. Being honest is being genuine and sincere. And about my issues. Issues are hard to talk about. So I wouldn't say I keep things in, things, emotions, my emotions. I would probably say it's something like I keep things in, things, emotions, my emotions. And so I'm building up that courage to be honest. So I'm talking a bit slower. I'm being a little bit more realistic, things like that. And so thinking about what the subtext is of my character, if I'm thinking about the perspective of my character, and I say I have to have the courage to be honest about my issues, I'm going to say that very differently when I know this fact right here. What you're going to do again is pick that script, mark those beats, and when you know what your character is, you're going to go back and do your given circumstances after that. So pick your script, mark your beats together, and then do your given circumstances. Don't do this red part until you know who your character is. Think about your given circumstances, do those 5 W's and think about who you are, and then go back and read the script or read each beat specifically, and then do that red part, because that red part is going to be more impactful and more successful when you know who your character is. Yeah. And then you're going to, let me go back over here. This is something we cut it shorter because I was showing them how to cut a monologue. So what it's going to be is you're going to have this right here. It's going to look just like this, except it's going to be your scene. And after at the very end, you're going to have given circumstances, and then you're going to have a paragraph and a section for each who, what, when, where, why. And then you're going to turn that in, and that's going to be part of your final, and that's going to be done. So hopefully that has been very helpful for you. If you have questions, please post in the discussion board. Again, I will add that discussion board and add that extra credit section for you as soon as I get done with this. But hopefully this has been helpful. Again, my name is Jalen. Your GA is Candace. I'm very excited to kickstart this class. Get your tickets, see the show if you want to get that extra credit. And then I know we've covered a lot of theater stuff today. It's been very fast paced. It's a lot of information. Really let it sink and settle in. And then next week, we'll pick up with the rest of these slides covering how drama integrates into your classrooms. And I'm very excited. This is a very fun class. This is my first time to teach this class, and I'm really excited about it. And I hope you guys are getting excited about it too. But you have a great day or night, whatever time it is when you are watching this. And I hope to see you guys sometime soon after we're done recovering with my baby. So yeah.